Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through all that noise online and really zero in on what matters. And today, we're tackling something pretty exciting, but honestly, it can be a bit much. The world of high-end TVs. We've got a bunch of questions you sent in, all diving into things like OLED, QD-OLED, QLED, the fancy stuff. Our goal, to help you figure out how to choose that next big screen, especially when you're looking at those premium prices and trying to decide between, like, perfect picture quality and just massive size. We're talking OLED, right?
Right.
Organic light-emitting diodes. Each pixel lights itself up, gives you those perfect blacks, amazing contrast. Then there's QD-OLED, which adds quantum dots for, well, even brighter colors. And QLED, often using mini LEDs now. Super bright, great for bright rooms. We'll get into when each one makes the most sense for you.
Exactly. And understanding these isn't just about, ticking boxes or getting the absolute newest thing. It's really about figuring out what you actually need, what matters for your room, how you watch stuff. So this deep dive should help you weigh all that, make a choice that feels right, not just what the ads tell you.
Okay, let's jump right in. This first one's from @Cummy84, and they really go for it. They say, you'd be a fool to buy anything other than QD OLED or the new tandem RGB OLED from LG due to the superior colors. Why buy old WOLED technology when there's better tech available unless it's really cheap? Wow. Okay, that feeling, wanting the absolute best, future-proofing it's strong. But is it always the practical move?
It's totally understandable. I mean, who wouldn't want the best tech if money were no object? But yeah, reality often steps in. Buying the absolute best on paper isn't always the smartest move, or even possible sometimes. First off, there's the price. That's usually the big one. These top-tier QD OLEDs, they carry a serious premium, like a 65-inch Sony Bravia 8 Mark II, that's around $4,000. Samsung's S95F, maybe $3,300. LG's top W OLED, the G5. Also around $3,400 for 65 inches. Even last year's Sony A95L QD OLED, still nearly $3,000. That's a lot of money for most people. And it's not just that they're expensive, it's about what you get for that extra money. The gains at the very top can be small, You might pay 30% more for maybe a 5% visual bump that only experts would really notice side by side. Is that peak worth it for you?
Right, and then there's the other factor, which I find really interesting, size. You'd think paying top dollar gets you any size.
Yeah, you would think. But that's not the case. A lot of these cutting-edge QD OLED panels, they just don't come with the really big sizes yet. Sony's best QD OLEDs. The Bravia 8 Mark II stops at 65 inches. The A95L goes up to 77, which is big, but not huge. Samsung's QD OLEDs, the S95F, S90F, same deal, 55, 65, or 77 inches. That's it for now.
So wait, if someone wants, say, an 80-something inch OLED, they're actually pushed towards the, quote, older WOLED tech?
Pretty much, yeah. If you want an OLED bigger than 77 inches, WOLED is often your only path right now.
Yeah.
You can get LG's flagship G5 at 83 inches, and that has their newer tandem RGB panel, which is fantastic, but that's going to set you back about $6,500. So it shows you there's practical limit. You have to choose the absolute newest panel chemistry or the massive immersive size. And honestly, the perceived difference for most people, let's say 99% of viewers who aren't like professional calibrators comparing screens directly, they probably wouldn't notice a huge difference between a really good WOLED and a QD OLED in normal viewing. They just see a great TV. And the market shows this, right? LG's C-Series, even the B-Series WOLEDs, they sell like hotcakes. People love them. They're excellent TVs at more reasonable prices.
That makes perfect sense. It's like, with cameras, I'd love the absolute best $6,500 Sony A1. Who wouldn't? But we're using a Sony A7 IV. Cost maybe a third of that. And the results are great for what we need. I bet most people with a good WOLED are perfectly happy getting an amazing picture without totally breaking the bank. Okay, so that covers the initial best versus practical thing, but what if you already have an OLED? This question from @LewisD7636 hits that. I have an LG G2. I wonder how much of an improvement the LG G5 would be. Is it a big jump from a 2022 model to the latest?
That's a really common question, Lewis. And yeah, honestly, the difference between a G2 from 2022 and the new G5, it is significant. LG's made some real progress. For starters, their processing and upscaling, like how the TV handles lower-res content, it's gotten much, much better. Even with last year's G4, people were saying it was getting really close to Sony, who are kind of the kings of processing. And the G5, with that new tandem RGB panel, think of it like layers of OLED for more brightness and purer colors. It's another step up. You'll definitely see a jump in brightness and just how vibrant the colors look. The G5 is brighter than the G4 and compared to a G2. Yeah. It's a noticeable difference. It's a big step up in punch and clarity. If you're thinking about it, definitely try and see one in person.
Right, that's where you get that aha moment, seeing it live. It's not just specs, it's how it actually looks, how it makes regular TV look almost like a demo. Okay, building on that idea of size limits, we got this. My mind is set for Sony, but still debating others. Let me know what the best 85-inch QD OLED TV is. Uh-oh. Setting sights high, but maybe missing a key detail.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're listening closely just now, you probably caught this. But unfortunately, there are no 85-inch QD OLED TVs currently on the market. Zero. The biggest QD OLEDs from Sony or Samsung stop at 77 inches. So if you love Sony and want QD OLED, that 77-inch A95L is your best bet. Great TV, but if 85 inches or something close is the non-negotiable size for an OLED, then you're looking at the 83-inch LG G5, which, as we said, has that new tandem panel, great color, great brightness. But it's pricey, around $6,500. Or for maybe $1,000 less, you could get the 83-inch LG C5. That's a W OLED, but still an absolutely fantastic TV, especially for the money at that size.
So it boils down to that core question again for this listener. What's more important? Squeezing out those last few inches of screen real estate or having the absolute latest panel tech like QD OLED?
Precisely. And the good news is you're not really making a bad choice either way. An 83-inch OLED, even a W OLED like the C5, is going to look stunning. It's just about which factor you prioritize more.
Okay, this leads perfectly into our final and maybe most interesting question today. This one's from @EchoEmpires. They ask, 77 in LG C5 OLED or 100 in Hisense U8K QLED. I'm fine with the QLED quality of the 100 in since it gives me that cinema experience. How good do you want the picture to be? It's ridiculous. A normal Hisense in 4K is awesome, and at 100 in the same price, I'm really thinking about it but can't decide. What's your pick?
Wow. Okay, this is it. The ultimate showdown. When is good enough? How much does that pure cinema size trump perfect pixels?
Yeah, this is a fantastic dilemma because both are genuinely appealing for totally different reasons. It's a real trade-off. Let's break it down. The 77-inch LG C5 OLED, you get that special picture quality. Perfect blacks, amazing contrast, colors just pop. Everything looks gorgeous. It's cleaner, more precise. You won't see much, if any, blooming around bright highlights on dark backgrounds. Then you have the 100-inch Hisense U8K, so QLED, specifically mini LED, and the main draw, sheer size. It's immense. It absolutely gives you that larger-than-life theater feeling at home, especially if you have decent sound to go with it. And let's be clear, the U8K isn't some basic budget TV blown up. It's mini LED with full-array local dimming. It's a strong performer, especially brightness-wise. Great for bright rooms where OLEDs can sometimes struggle a bit, and this is a big but for any giant screen. You absolutely need a plan for where it's going to go. A 100-inch TV takes over a room. It's best in a dedicated space, honestly. And moving it, forget about it. Also, any small imperfections in the picture quality, things you might not notice on a smaller screen, they get magnified.
Things like blooming, maybe some motion issues, they become much more apparent on a screen that size. So my personal pick, if I had to choose, I'd probably go for the 77-inch LG C5. I just really value that OLED image quality, the contrast, the perfection. And 77 inches is still really big, plenty immersive for me. That said, if the choice was maybe between a 65-inch OLED and the 100-inch Hisense, the size difference becomes much more dramatic, and that 100-inch wow factor gets harder to ignore. But honestly, either choice here leads to a really good time watching movies or playing games. It just depends on what kind of good time you value more.
What a journey today. It really highlights that picking a TV, especially at the high end, isn't just about specs. It's this fascinating mix of tech, budget, room size, and just what makes you happy when you sit down to watch something.
Exactly right. Best is totally subjective here. We saw that fantastic W OLED tech is often more than good enough, maybe even the smarter buy for many. It really comes down to your priorities. Is it the absolute pinnacle of picture fidelity? Is it that jaw-dropping massive screen experience? Or is it finding that sweet spot where performance, size, and price all line up for you?
So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. How much does chasing the absolute best really matter when outstanding is right there, maybe cheaper, maybe bigger, maybe just better suited to your actual life? What's your measure for the perfect view? Something to think about from today's Deep Dive. Thanks so much for joining us on the Deep Dive. Keep those questions and sources coming. We love digging into them. See you next time.